What up, y'all, man? So let's talk about Georgia MaxPreps top 25, man. Did they get it right when ranking the state of Georgia? All right, so obviously got the cover athlete here, Tyler Atkinson, Texas commit, #1 Grayson. I don't really disagree with that. They won a state championship last year. Only loss of the season was suffered to Collins Hill from that very point on. And there was a 1-point loss at that, 20-19. From that point on, they completely dominated, did their thing, beat Carrollton, who's ranked #4 on this list, in the state championship last year. And like I said, man, their defense was special. They beat Douglas County as well. And Grayson did their thing as they always do. Travis Burgess had a really good year. Obviously, they had Alexander Sanchez. Obviously, they had, really good receivers and a running back tandem that was special, that they could run the ball off to and do their thing. And then defensively led by Atkinson, Anthony Davis could rush the pressure with Andre Fuller, who's now at Georgia Tech. Had an elite corner now that's at Indiana, and Jalen Bell. Completely loaded team. And now this year they got youngsters, that's young thoroughbreds ready to come up, right? They got guys that are hungry for their spot. TK Cunningham. You got Riley Drew, who obviously started as a sophomore last year. He's ready. London Goggins. They are loaded, man. This team should be special again. Now, a team I think is rated a little too high is Buford. Buford definitely deserves to be in the top 5. Just to have them at #2, it's interesting to say the least, right? They got Dayton Rayola, who's a Nebraska commit, little brother of Dylan Rayola, who's at obviously Nebraska right now. But it's interesting enough. Buford's always talented, always got good running backs. My question for them is the skill position group, right? Kevin Hughes, obviously they got a bunch of playmakers there. How good would that position be? We obviously know they love to run the ball a lot. Will they have enough to be able to make some noise, obviously on the outside, and just can they get back to what Buford has been since they moved up to 6A? Obviously, great coaching Brian Applin, but they haven't really been able to break through. Haven't been able to get to that state championship game, right? They've been kind of going out in the semifinals, quarterfinals, right? Last year had a really good run, lost to Carrollton in the semis. Can they break through and finally make some noise in 6A? Now, Milton and Buford are going to play on ESPN. Milton, a lot of people are writing off. I do like the respect they're getting at here at #3. What I'm saying, with Coach Reeves, obviously they got a lot of young whippersnappers that are good. Joshua Evans, Landon G, who's going to probably start for them at right tackle, 2029, true freshman, probably one of the top-ranked offensive linemen when it's said and done for that class, right? You also got guys that can catch the ball, right? Grant Hovland, #1 tight end. Jordan Carrasquillo, obviously wide receiver for them. Aiden Williams, who can obviously do his thing defensively. Christian Pancake Hunter, right? TJ Lester. They got, obviously, Keelan Wansley. Really good corners. Milton should be back at the top. I like the #3 booking. Now, Carrollton, they're loaded too. But a new quarterback at the helm, no more Juju Lewis, who's not at Colorado. They're going to have Mason Holtzclaw, right? Obviously coming in there to start for them. We know they're going to have Ryan Mosley. We'll see who's going to start for them at the running back position, and things like that. They got a really young tight end that's really impressive. That is going to be a name to kind of watch. I can't think of his name currently at the moment, but they got a young thoroughbred in the 2028 class that's really good. And then defensively, Dorian Barney, Michigan commit, several guys. Now, the team I will move up to #2, respectfully over both of those teams, is going to be obviously Douglas County. I'm moving to #2 behind Grayson. I think they could be on a collision course in the state championship, and they could face each other again in the playoffs this year. We'll see what happens. But this is the year for DC to do it, right? You have everything you need. You obviously have Devin Carter. You have Aaron Gregory. You got Jamarcus Lindley. You got, obviously, the transfer that came over from Dutchtown last year and Mike Johnson. Your defense is loaded with Jordan Carter, right? You have everything you need to be successful. KJ Green. Gregory will probably spot play a little bit. Really good linebackers. Excellent corners. DC, they should be in the state championship game this year. Point blank. Now, sleeper in 6A is this #16 North Cobb. I like where they're ranked at. That is probably the perfect spot for them. I think they can make some noise with the Graysons, the Bufords. Obviously, you throw in there the DCs because they got the quarterback to do it. That kid, Teddy Gerard, is the reason why he's ranked #2 in the country for a reason, y'all. I've been hiring him for a long time. He has all the tools and the intangibles to be special. And they got all the weaponry to do it with Zachary Bellew, Still Ingram. They got guys all over the field. Defensively, Dylan Rainey. Their defensive line is really good. Team is special. They're going to make some noise this year. Now, Collins Hill, obviously, Makari Cross, really good head coach, and Drew Swick. Really good position at #7, Deuce Gerald, who just committed to LSU. Obviously got the Purdue commit, Catrell Webb, as well. Lost Jeremiah Proctor, who transferred to Gainesville. But Collins Hill should still be a top team. Very loaded 6A, but they should be able to be in the top, should be able to make a run. Now, Langston Hughes, y'all, is talented. I like DK, Darnell Kelly, who came over from Peachtree Ridge. Kid is talented. He's elite. Colorado State commit. He's going to have probably the best weapons he's ever had in his career, right? Cannon Kirksey, right? Xavier Tiller. You know what I'm saying? Out of the backfield, Carson Baker. He got some absolute dogs that he can give the ball to. It's just putting everything together. They should be stout again defensively. I would put them at the top 10. Now, a team I would really move up here that's too underrated, for those that don't know, is Thomas County Central. Oh, my Lord. They quarterback Jalen Johnson, right? They got Jayden Dunbar. 9 is way too low for them. I legit will move them ahead. I would put them as a top 5 team in this ranking if I could for Thomas County Central. They're going to be the class of the 5A classification. Mark my words. That team is loaded. They're deep. They have a lot of potential. Now, the question for North Gwinnett, obviously great head coach Eric Godfrey. Obviously got playmakers all over the field. New players stepping up in new positions. Top 4-star ranked linebacker, with Jake Godfrey. But do they have the other requisite pieces to step up? Talk to some of them. They should be able to have guys that have been experienced, have been there, done that. Just quarterback position. Will they run a 2 QB system, or will they let Elam Rahman obviously be the QB for them? That's going to be one thing to kind of watch out for. But they're always a well-coached and disciplined team. Can never sleep on them. All right, y'all. Then here's the rest of the list as we wrap up, obviously, the vid. Gainesville at 11. I think that is a little bit low for them. I do think they are a top 10 team. I might swap them, obviously, with the Langston Hughes, respectfully. No disrespect to them. They both are obviously 5A programs. I think Gainesville, with Clemson commit quarterback Kareem Hughley, should be able to take some steps forward this year. I think they got a better defense than they had in years past. They bring in Aiden Kane to help out, obviously, at the nose guard, defensive tackle position. They got Jamarian Matthews. They got Xavier Griffin, the Alabama commit. Matthews is an Alabama commit as well. The secondary should be better with the addition of Jeremiah Proctor on the back end. Should be able to make, obviously, a lot of plays. The corners are pretty good as well. And then offensively, they can run that ball. You see what Nigel Newkirk did in the scrimmage game against McEachern. And they obviously got playmakers on the outside to make some noise. They should be pretty good. And one of the better offensive lines in the state, led by Tyler Ford and Carter Mathis, should be a team that's right up there in 5A competing. Now, Lee County, the player to watch out for is going to be Jaden Upshaw. How do they replace the production of Weston Bryant, Georgia Southern, and obviously Usman Kroma, who's obviously a former running back for Lee County, Mr. Georgia, who's now at Florida State. How do they replace that? Now, you could make the argument that Norfolk Coney is probably getting the most disrespected here. 15-0, won a state championship last year, but they did lose a little bit of their talent. They bring back Dallas Dixon. They bring back UGA commit Kamari Brooks. Will they be back, obviously, in that conversation in 4A, and a very crowded 4A at that? Now, Colquitt County, we'll see. I will probably put Lowndes ahead of them with Jace Johnson at the quarterback position. I think they got the weaponry to do it. They're going to obviously play in the same classification. Colquitt County obviously has Jay Lamar, but I think Lowndes is a more well-rounded team. Now, Raven Gap guys, obviously, they don't play in the classification in Georgia. They're really near North Carolina or close to it. So they don't play in the same thing, so it's really hard to say. But they always have players that come in and play at a high level. Now, BT is in that loaded 4A, y'all. Obviously, they got Dawson Jacobs, DJ Jacobs. They got Amonte Pitts, right? They obviously got Brooks Goodman. Receivers is always on the outside. Can BT finally get to that point again with Ed Dudley as the head coach? You know, can they get to a state championship? Very loaded 4A again. Now, Hoco is another team I think is too underrated. If I was doing standings, if I was doing preseason rankings, I have Hoco as my number 2 team in 5A. They are that good. Braylon Mills, Gray Dunlap, right? They got Jordan Smith. They got, obviously, Kayvon Cochero. They got guys all over the field that can block. They get fast. They're quick. 18 is too low for them. 19, Cartersville. I think that's too low for them as well. Cartersville is another team that's going to make some noise. Always well coached by Connor Foster. A team that should be able, I think, should be in the top 15 at a bare minimum. Easily creeping up towards that top 10. All right, then you got Benedictine. Got some players out there, right? Bubba Frazier, Stephen Cannon, who's committed to Texas Tech. Frazier's committed to Notre Dame. Obviously, they brought in probably one of the biggest transfers of the offseason in high school football when you look at LaDamian Guy, number 1 player in the 2027 class. Loaded. Now, Roswell's going to be led by Trey Smith. Kale is way too low, in my humble opinion, y'all. 22 is disrespectful. I know they were 7-5 last year. Top 15 team easily. Really should be in the top 10. Talent everywhere. Joel Cambe, Braden Rouse, Nathan Nagame, right? They can run the ball with Contreras, Mooney Gibson, Caleb Narkezia, a veteran, obviously, player for them. This team's loaded. Way too low. Hebron Christian, how would they obviously respond after losing Jonathan Guest? Sequoia, obviously led by by Memphis commit, running back Wilbur Jecky. Can they kind of capture that same magic? And then Mill Creek, not too sure. I wouldn't put them in top 25. A team that's not on this list that should be is Creekside. Creekside is the team to beat, team to watch in 4A. I'm telling y'all, them boys is loaded. They got obviously Maurice Dixon, Coach McCreary. McEachern got players all over the field. Damian Henderson. They got the quarterback Caden Benson. They're going to be loaded. Creekside's a team that's going to shock a lot of people this year. That's my thoughts, y'all.